Let's be completely honest for a second. Thousands of construction safety professionals apply for major oil and gas jobs every single year. And the harsh reality? Most of them never even get a phone call, let alone an interview. But here is the secret, and it's something I need you to understand right now. It is absolutely not because they aren't good enough, or because they lack the skills. It's simply because they don't know how to speak the highly specific language the industry is desperately listening for. Look, with the massive energy demands, LNG expansions, and major refinery upgrades rolling out in 2026, the doors are wide open. If you're looking to make the jump, your construction experience is not a disadvantage. In fact, it is your absolute biggest asset. You already have about 70% of what they need, but that's only true when you present it correctly.
Welcome to this explainer. Think of me as your mentor today, because we're going to walk through a complete, step-by-step career roadmap to get you where you want to be. Today we're covering the oil and gas advantage, upgrading your technical mindset, certifications that actually matter, translating construction to O&G, and finally, building an ATS-winning CV. Let's dive right in.
Starting with Section 1, the oil and gas advantage.
Right off the bat, making the move from construction to oil and gas is not starting your career over. Please don't think of it that way. It is a strategic upgrade. When you look at the major players out there in the GCC, we're talking giants like ADNOC, Aramco, or QatarEnergy, you're looking at incredible stability and top-tier benefits. And why is that? Well, it's because the work involves managing major accident hazards. You're dealing with highly volatile environments, right? Offshore rigs, refineries, massive LNG plants. The industry willingly pays a premium for professionals who can protect human life and highly valuable assets from catastrophic failures. It's high risk, but it is high reward.
And honestly, that premium becomes pretty obvious when we look at the numbers. Just looking at the entry-level salary gap in the Middle East puts this into perspective. A construction safety officer might start somewhere between $7,000 and $12,000 a year. But step into the oil and gas sector, and that baseline jumps to $20,000 to $30,000. It all comes down to a very simple risk versus reward formula. Higher risk and intense technical demands equal a much higher financial reward for you.
Moving on to Section 2, upgrading your technical mindset.
If you want to earn that premium we just talked about, you have to start thinking like an operator. Generic observational safety just isn't going to cut it anymore. In construction, you're generally managing physical, temporary works, right? Working at heights, deep excavations, scaffolding, and your foundation there is incredibly strong. But in oil and gas, your focus has to shift entirely to process safety and asset integrity. You are now managing the risks of massive fires, explosions, toxic gases like H2S, and highly pressurized hydrocarbon systems. You really must transition your mindset from looking at obvious physical hazards to managing invisible, systemic risks.
A perfect example of this systemic mindset is something called management of change, or MOC. This is a critical concept in the industry. Think about it. In environments where a single tiny ignition source can result in asset losses exceeding $15 million, every single modification has to be strictly governed. MOC applies to changes in plant hardware, process control, and even the people in the organization. Just changing out a standard valve or swapping a shift supervisor requires a rigorous, heavily documented risk assessment. It's a whole different ballgame.
Another massive shift in your mindset has to be how you handle explosive atmospheres, which are known as ATEX zones. You have to be able to confidently differentiate between Zone 0, Zone 1, and Zone 2, because that classification dictates exactly what equipment is safe to use in that space. You're shifting from human observation safety to data-driven, sensor-driven oversight. For example, during hot work, we don't just keep an eye on things, we use continuous atmosphere monitoring. And that monitoring is tied to logic that triggers an automatic shutdown of tools the exact second it detects just 10% of the lower explosive limit, or LEL. It's highly technical, proactive, and data-driven risk mitigation.
Let's look at Section 3, certifications that actually matter. A huge mistake that construction professionals make when trying to transition is just collecting random certificates without any cohesive strategy for 2026. If you want to get your resume past those automated applicant tracking systems, the ATS, certain foundational credentials are just non-negotiable. Now, the NEBOSH International General Certificate is your baseline, sure, but adding the NEBOSH Technical Certificate in Oil and Gas Operational Safety, that speaks directly to the industry. It proves to hiring managers, without a shadow of a doubt, that you actually understand hydrocarbon risks.
Now, offshore certification specifically confuses a lot of people, especially when it comes down to the difference between BOSIET and HUET. So let's dispel a massive myth right now. Taking just the one-day Hewitt helicopter escape course is absolutely not enough to get you an offshore job. It's just not. BOSSYET is the gold standard. It is a 3-day OPITO-approved course that covers 4 complete modules, including sea survival and firefighting. If you are aiming for your first deployment on a rig, BOSSYET is the absolute minimum hiring requirement. Don't cut corners here.
Moving right along to Section 4, Translating Construction to ONG.
Pay close attention, because this is quite literally the most crucial step of this entire explainer, translating your existing experience. Like I said earlier, you already have the bulk of what they need. You just need to rebrand it into their language. Think about a generic CV bullet point that says Managed HSE Programs. To a recruiter at Aramco, that is invisible noise. They will skip right past it. Instead, translate it. Write, sustained a lost time injury frequency rate of 0.17 and a total recordable incident rate of 0.62. Do you see the difference there? Heavy lifting in construction becomes lifting operations. Confined space management becomes permit to work systems. You are showing them on paper that you are already operator ready.
To do this effectively, you absolutely must embed high-value operator terminology into your work history. You aren't just doing generic risk assessments anymore. You are facilitating HAZOP, hazard and operability studies, and HAZID, hazard identification cycles. You aren't just managing a bunch of different contractors on a site. You are coordinating SIMOPS, or simultaneous operations, and weaving in specific frameworks like the IOGP life-saving rules or the ADNOC HSE IA framework proves that you don't just know general safety, you know their brand of safety.
Finally, Section 5, Building an ATS-winning CV.
Okay, so you can have all the right terminology in your head, but if your CV or LinkedIn format is wrong, a human being will literally never see it. UAE oil and gas hiring is ruthlessly filtered by AI platforms like Talo and SuccessFactors. To beat them, you have to build a strict portal-ready hierarchy. Step 1, your header has to explicitly state your rotation readiness. Put something like 28/28 rotation accepted right at the top. Step 2, put your NEBOSH or OPTO technical certs at the very top. If they are buried on page 2, the AI parser will miss them and you'll be rejected. Step 3, your professional summary must name your exact asset class expertise. And Step 4, your experience bullets need to name the operators and the specific pressure scopes you worked with. Match your LinkedIn profile exactly to this structure so those specialist recruiters can actually find you.
Let's do a quick rapid fire of the biggest application mistakes you need to avoid. First off, stop using those fancy multi-column CVs. They look pretty, but they completely break the ATS field extraction. Second, if you're a UAE national, aligning your CV with local initiatives like the in-country value or NAFIS programs gives you a massive advantage. Don't leave it out. Third, as I mentioned, failing to state your rotation readiness will get you skipped immediately. And lastly, omitting your technical scopes strips away the exact keywords recruiters are hunting for. Be prepared to defend these technical scopes in your behavioral interviews, too. Operators want to hear exactly how you handled process safety, not just general site rules. That operational fluency is exactly how you successfully negotiate your way into that higher salary bracket.
Listen, every single oil and gas HSE expert out there was once completely new to the industry. They all started exactly where you are today. The ones getting hired in 2026 aren't necessarily the ones with the most years standing on a rig. They are the ones who know how to present their existing experience as the exact solution to an operator's problems. You already have the foundation. So the question is, are you going to keep submitting that same generic construction resume? Or are you ready to finally speak the language of the energy sector and claim the premium you absolutely deserve? If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to www.youtube.com/ITeachSafety and hit the notification button to be updated on the upcoming videos. Let's get to work.